Alright, what's up, dudes? Today we're testing the Kunwu Pulsar. I'll just spoil it for you right now. It did extremely well. So we're doing the same testing that I do on almost every new knife I get. I try to be consistent on the tests, that way I kind of have a baseline and can really judge different attributes of the knife. So you can see I cut the magazine paper, cut very cleanly. And now we're starting with the thinner kind of cardboard. This knife is really thin behind the edge, and it slices, man. It passes through this cardboard like it's nothing. I did notice if you're not careful, you will kind of slide back and the cardboard gets caught in the finger choil. But if you put your finger in there and kind of brace up against where the edge ends, your finger will stop the cardboard from sliding in there. But that was the one thing that I noticed that was kind of hanging me up. At least on the cardboard here. Just not a problem. Ergos felt pretty good. And now we're moving on to the double thickness cardboard. Much thicker, much harder to push through. And even though there's more force that's required to push through it, it is cutting it. It is slicing it well. I have yet to test a knife on this thick stuff that passes through it with ease. Every knife I've tried, requires a good bit of pressure to get through it. So feeling the edge, still's got some bite to it, which is great. Some knives at this point will have already kind of lost their bite. You can see it's easily going through the magazine paper. Piece of cake, very well. Cutting the rubber tubing. This is pretty soft stuff. It's just pure rubber. It's more of a test to see how it would do with kind of a food prep situation. And let me tell you, really good. It's a wide, kind of broad blade, so the edge is kind of down past your knuckles. So you're able to, chop easily, get a full cut in before your fingers kind of hit the surface. This will be a great food prep knife. Alright, moving on. Try some paper again. Super easy. Slicey. Now we're going to cut up an old glove. In the past I've been cutting up shop rags, and I think that's not the best thing to do. So I think cutting up old gloves is a better idea. And man, I was surprised how easily it went through this. I mean, that's a lot of layers of leather. It was just no problem. Zero problem. This Elmax blade steel on this knife was done very well. Kunwu pays attention and really makes sure that their heat treatment of their knives is done properly. You can see we are still going through the paper easily. Now this is a bungee cord, kind of elastic rope. Went through it no problem. No problem again. Now we'll chop it a little bit. This stuff is kind of hard to, it went through it easily, but there was the kind of strands around the outside that was sometimes wouldn't cut all the way through, but as far as the sharpness of the edge, it did really well. Test out on the magazine paper again. Still slicing with ease. Typically won't say typically, but generally by now, knives have trouble going through the paper, at least that cleanly. Action is still perfect, still locked up solid. At this point, I'm kind of thinking, like, what can I do to dull this edge? Because it really hasn't. So I decided to go to the edge killer. This, not this stuff, but you'll see it in a second. The kind of plasticky, very rough rope. Someone in the comments told me what it was, I think. I forget what he said, though. He said it was used on docks a lot of time, like around boats. I'm not sure. I need to find out what exactly it is, but typically it just absolutely destroys edges. But you'll see here in a second, not so much the case with the Pulsar here. Still slicing well on the paper. And here is that rope I'm talking about. It's like plasticky, very thick, very coarse. Check this out, dude. Right through it. I usually do 3, or I attempt to do 3. Last knife I tested only went through 1, and typically they don't get to 3. But the Pulsar here, easily through 3. I mean, you know, you got to put a lot of pressure into the cut, but some knives don't even go through it. And look at this, it's still slicing through the paper easily. I was really surprised to see this. Typically, the edge is destroyed. I don't mean destroyed, I just mean very dull. So, really impressed with the heat treatment of this Elmax by Kunwu. I love this knife even more now. Excellent, excellent test.